Welcome. It's Thursday, and we have another interview and another wonderful guest, ISABEL MORETON, today at the Meet The Harp Stars. And I welcome everybody to be with us this 1 hour or even more with our wonderful guest. And as it's usual, I will, of course, say a little words about ISABEL MORETON so that you can also know her biography. ISABEL Moreton is a German-born harpist of Spanish descent. She studied harp with Professor Ruth Kohlhäuser in Hanover, Germany, and distinguished Professor Susan McDonald in Bloomington, Indiana, in the United States. She teaches at Hanover School of Music and has joined the faculty of the Hochschule für Musik and Theater in Hamburg in 2009, when she teaches harp and harp pedagogy. In 2019, she was awarded with the prestigious Hamburger Lehrpreis for excellence in teaching by the Senate of Hamburg. She has worked with major orchestras in Germany and has given numerous solo and chamber recitals in Europe and Middle East. She sought after for major international and national harp competitions and master classes. Mrs. Moreton performed at the World Harp Congress in Dublin, Vancouver, Hong Kong, and Sydney, and has released several solo and chamber music CDs. In 2014, she was appointed editor of the World Harp Congress Review and president of the German Harp Association. ISABEL Moreton has published several harp-related articles in journals such as the World Harp Congress Review, Harfe Heute, American Harp Journal, and more recently, she edited harp music for the gender specialized Furore edition Kassel, of course, in Germany. So I'm very pleased to have today's guest, and I'm very, very welcoming our ISABEL Moreton for the interview. Hello, ISABEL.
Hi, Jana.
Welcome to be with us, and I'm so pleased that you had time to get the time to be with us today. And I'm very pleased that you can also share your long story of your harp experiences and your life in the musical association. So please, if you can just tell us, how did it happen that you start to play the harp?
Oh, actually, there's two stories. One is my mother's and one is mine. My mother said, when I was very little, I already started to yell harp when there was a harp in the orchestra in TV, in film music. I remember that there was some music competition, knowledge competition, and they asked which was the second important instrument in the César Franck Symphony in the second movement. And that's where I heard the harp, and I really thought it was a very nice instrument. So I live here in Hanover, in Germany, which is in the north of Germany. And that was absolutely blank. There was no teacher at that time. And once my best friend who lived in Hamburg came from school, and she said, well, we're performing Orpheus and Eurydice, and there's a harp, and the harp has red and blue strings. And I'm like, what for? And 7 pedals. And I'm like, piano, 1, 2, maybe 3, 7 pedals. Anyway, the harpist was very, very nice, and she explained the harp to me, which I didn't understand at that time. But anyway, she found out a harpist for me here in Hanover to have maybe lessons with her, and it didn't work out. And then I was very, very lucky because an old friend of my grandpa, who was a music critic, he told me I should call the harpist of the NDR, the Radio Symphony. And he insisted that I called her up that very moment. I said, well, I'll call her up later. And he said, no, call her up now. And you say, I said to call you. So that lady didn't have any students, but she had a huge heart. She was an incredible person. And her name was Meta Link.
Mm-hmm.
And she happened to have a small Irish harp, which she rented out to me, but I didn't have to pay anything. And when I started to study at university, she told me that her orchestra had sold a harp and had sold it to a cellist, and that cellist wanted to give it to his niece, but the niece didn't want to play, and they had such a small living room, and if the harp could stay at my house. Of course it could. It was a pedal harp. It was a beautiful pedal harp.
Mm-hmm.
And I used it, and I used it for years, and I didn't have to pay and anything. And when I finally, after 5 years, I think, I wanted to give it back, I told this cellist that it was so nice of him, and if he didn't it's such a great instrument to have in one's living room, so why didn't he want to have it? And he looked at me, and he didn't understand me, and that was because my former teacher, my first teacher, had purchased that harp just for me, and knowing that I wouldn't accept the gift of having it, she told me this whole story, so I would take it.
Oh my God, you should see my skin now.
And
unbelievable.
She really was unbelievable. So that's how I got started.
How old have you been?
When I started, I think I was 14 or 15, about that age. So I was late. I studied piano first, and yes.
Unbelievable. And your parents were musician, or how actually that you even thought about to be music in the music?
My father is an architect, and my mother is a translator. Maybe that's why I speak so many languages. And my father, at some point, thought of being a conductor, something like that. There are lots of stories in the family, like that my mother went to, and my parents went in they lived in Berlin at that time. When my mother was pregnant with me, they went to a recital of Nicanor Zabaleta at the Berlin Philharmonic, and yes, right. So when he finished the recital, he went backstage. He changed. He came back on stage, and the whole Spanish community, and my father is Spanish, was still sitting there, and he gave a whole new recital just for the few Spaniards who were sitting there. So if that story is invented or true, I will never know.
But your name Moreton is certainly not German, right?
No, it's not Spanish either. It's originally back in the 15th century. It's English, and it came to Spain, and so my father's Spanish, my mother is German, but I was born in Berlin.
So you speak Spanish, of course?
Yes.
German, English? Which other languages do you speak?
I understand fairly well French and Italian. And
wow.
I had 1 year of Russian in school, but I think they just didn't kick me out of that class because I was able to dance Kazachok or something. I thought that was...
But 5 languages already is enough. If you even know a little bit of Russian, then it's 6. Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. That's
no, I don't.
We have here some comments just only to not to forget.
Oh, Eleanor, that's nice.
So hello to to Eleanor. Of course, we have from also Veronica.
Oh,
who is
hello.
Again, Eleanor, and again Veronica. So
yes.
Thank you very much with us. Yes, indeed, the harp. Yes, indeed, there. So when you decided that you would like to play the harp, your parents were supporting you, or how was it then? way after, when you started to really study the harp?
My parents have been always supportive with everything I did, so there was no discussion. Actually, I entered university, the music university, not as a harp major, but as piano major, studying teacher in school, just French and music teacher. But then the harp turned out to be quite good, so I went on with that. I finished my degree, but I went on with harp, and they always were supportive in everything I did.
That's very
still are.
And tell me, when we will now go for the other stories from the harp world, only just to, for me, it would be when you have two parents from different countries, you as a child, do you feel to be more German or more Spanish?
My parents separated actually when I was 6. So, but they have always had very good contact, very good. Living in Germany, I feel very German, but I have to recognize that I don't look very German. But I went to school here. My German is much better than my Spanish. Although my husband always says that when I speak Spanish, my voice lowers quite a bit, and I start talking with my hands and all that. So there are two personalities, but I really believe I'm more German.
That's really interesting that the temperament came out when you speak Spanish.
Yes. Funny enough, when I'm in Germany, I always try to explain that I'm German. I'm German. And as soon as I'm abroad, I don't mind being half Spanish. And I'm proud of it.
So do you visit Spain quite often because you have relatives there, right?
Yes.
That's nice. So when you started to study, you were studying in Hamburg as well?
No, only in Hanover.
In Hanover, okay. And then how long have you been studying there before you went to United States?
Actually, I finished my studies and I went to play in an orchestra. So I had an orchestra audition, and it was my first orchestra audition, and I won it. And I didn't even really know at that time if I wanted to go to orchestra. I just wanted to do an orchestra audition because that's what I was supposed to do. And
so where orchestra have you been?
There was in Thüringen, in Gotha. And to be honest, I wasn't so happy. It wasn't my cup of tea. I really enjoy more teaching and performing in chamber music. It was an interesting year. Actually, it was more than a year with Salome's Tanz as the first thing we played.
Oh my goodness! Right
away, right. And after 1 year, I thought that's not where I want to go. Something's missing. And that's when I went to study in the States.
And so, but you, it came by some coincidence, no? It's that you met Miss McDonald at the Congress, or how did everything happen? You were what age about? It was in
mid-20s.
Mid-20s, yeah.
Mid-20s. I had started for German. For Germans, I have started very young to study, and yes, and it was in the orchestra and everything, and so I was, or maybe late 20s. No. Yes, something middle 20, and I've been to all the World Harp Congresses, and whenever I think, oh, yeah, Jana, you're one of the reasons I wanted to study with Susan MacDonald, because I looked at the people who walked on stage, and the people with a great stage personality and a wonderful sound. They always had in their curriculum that they studied with Susan MacDonald, and you were one of them. So I complained to a friend of mine. And they all study with Miss MacDonald, and I don't, and I would like to, and blah blah. And she, at some point, she said, "Shut up, just shut up." Maybe they asked, and maybe they played for her. And next day, Miss MacDonald comes by, and I just stopped her and said, "I want to play for you." So that's when I asked, and I played for her, and she accepted me to Bloomington, and that changed my life.
I can absolutely understand. And how long have you been to Bloomington?
1.5 years, from early 94 to mid 95.
So you did your master or a doctor degree there?
I did the performer diploma.
I see.
And then I started in what was it? In the artist diploma, I think, or no, in some degree which I didn't complete it, because I wasn't sure if I would be able to continue my studies, if I could get enough money. So I tried to finish my performer diploma very quick, and then I just knew that I wouldn't stay for the whole degree, so I just started. Oh yes, that's so nice, with Miss MacDonald to the far right and Ella Smith to the far left.
Indeed. And where are you? If you can find your...
Pretty much in the middle, the one with the beige skirt.
Yes, the long one.
Yes. Oh, that was so great, because in Germany I was always the little one, and when I was studying in the States, only 2 of them were larger than I. That was great. For the first time I could look down and not always up.
Oh, funny. No, but the atmosphere in Bloomington is always so beautiful, or at least it has been always before, as I know as well as I remember. So this picture, I was just thinking, have I been there as well or not? Because it looks so similar to all these memories which I have also from Bloomington. So it's wonderful. So did you not miss it after you left?
Oh, very much. Also the class parties, I didn't include the pictures of the class parties. They were just smashing. They were
by Miss MacDonald's house as well.
Yes, Miss MacDonald always invited once a semester to her house. They were hilarious. Did you play Name That Tune with you?
No.
He would just pluck one string, and we had to name the tune.
I know this game. I know that Ella already mentioned at one of the interviews, so I remember that it has happened. Yeah.
Yes, that was fun. That was really fun. What was the question again?
Well, when you were in Bloomington, after you answered the question, but when you finished the Bloomington, didn't you want to stay there longer, or you just could not because you had some other jobs in Europe, or what was the reason that you finished actually?
I was going to marry, which I didn't do at the end. So I was very, very sad to leave, and it was quite a cultural shock for me to come back to Germany, because it is true, we are not very open. And so when I first came to the States, I always felt people were exaggerating and not really true when they said good job, and I really didn't play a well Hindemith sonata until I found out that good job doesn't mean you're great. It just means we love you. And but in Germany, good job is the highest distinction you can get. And so I remember when I flew back and I came back by train, nobody was talking to each other in the train, and they don't do. It's not polite to talk to your neighbor in Germany, and I missed that for quite a while. this openness.
I totally understand. You know what has happened to me exactly when I was in Bloomington, and then I went for Christmas home, and I was in the plane, and I was just like smiling at the people, and one person stopped me and said, "Why you are smiling?" And I was shocked because I didn't know that I did something wrong. I was just like used to smile at the people. And that person totally shocked me because I said, oh my goodness, actually, yes, that's true. It's different here than I'm used to in US. So I very much understand what you mean. Yeah.
And studying in Bloomington was great. I mean, you saw the harp class. We were maybe 18 at the time. And we were coming from all over the world, and we were going back to all over the world. So there was not such a big competition. It was rather working together, and that was really nice. And I mean, I've been in contact with so many from the class ever since.
And you actually returned to Europe. You wanted to get married, but it has not happened, as you just mentioned now. So what did you start to do in Europe then?
What did I do at first? I mean, I hadn't kept up any relations in the music scene because I was going to marry, and honestly, I didn't have much money left after studying in the States, and so I took some money and I wrote to all the hotels in the region and all the funeral homes in the region. And that brought me back into business right away. So I right away got a job in the hotel lobby, which from the German perspective is not such a great job. But anyway, it brought me back into it. And I performed 4 hours every day, 5 days, and I had a good salary. So that's how I got back in. And I had a repertoire, enlarged my repertoire every day for a piece. So at the end, I had a 8 hours repertoire of background music.
No, but it's true when you had this experience and you were able to play in front of the people. That's something what people don't, like the students don't realize, that when you play in the hotels or in these kind of occasions, you are not stressed because you don't have such a responsibility. But at the same time, you are getting used to play in front of the audience, which can help you for the future.
And at some time, I started to relax my technique. I was working on my technique, performing. Like, now relax more. Yes. Are you tense? No, I'm not. Good. And then also from that, many things came because there were fairs and people were there. For example, one day I sat at a coffee table. There wasn't a coffee table left, and there was one space left at two men, and I sat down and asked if I could sit with them, and they were very nice. We talked very nice, and yeah. So later that evening, the hotel manager came and said, "Oh, Mr. Kolani was so impressed by you." And I said, "Wow, Kolani was here and he heard me." And he said, "Well, you were having coffee with him." That was Kolani. so that's how I met Kolani, which I think is a cool thing.
That's lovely. That's wonderful. And it has happened to you that some guest also told you, "I want to hear that piece." Did it happen to you that there was some request for the certain pieces?
Yes, there were, but I'm not such a person to pick out music right away. I'm not trained that way, and so I would always graciously say, "Thank you. I will look it up and I will include it as soon as I can." something like that. They always applauded when I played the Bach, the Pachelbel canon.
So the famous pieces. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have now also here Elena Zaniboni with us. So
that's so nice.
And she says very nice words also about the Bloomington School. It's very true. And Silke is with us as well. Another German wonderful harpist who was also with us for the concert, live concert. So, and after you got married afterwards?
No.
No. Okay.
No, that's a different story. Yes, at some point I got married. Yes.
But you did not play all the time in the hotels. It was
no. It was just these 4 months, and then I got back on the road and everything. I got the first teaching position, a small teaching position, but since I always liked teaching, I was very happy with that. And from then on, things continued. I toured quite a lot with a harp ensemble, which was founded by my first teacher, Ruth Kronhäuser.
And how many harps was there in this?
12.
12?
12. Between 6 and 12. So I was always one of the 6. And
may I ask you, how did you transport the harps? How many cars? It was 12 or 6?
We mostly drove with our own cars, but we once had a really, really great tour, which went to Israel and Jordania, and we also went to Saudi Arabia. So the flight company had to use a larger aircraft in order to get all the harps in, and that was managed for us. So I didn't.
Wow. Amazing. And you were from Germany? All harpists from Germany? Or
yes.
It was
all former students of her too. So. And yes, I remember in Amman, in Jordania, in the citadel. It was nice because it was getting dark. And have you ever been to Jordania?
No, in Jordania. No.
Anyway, and the then princess, now queen, was there, and it was this old ruins in the middle of Amman, and it was getting dark, and was such a beautiful atmosphere. Beautiful. It was great. It was a great tour, and also we played in Tel Aviv and in Haifa, and when we went to Saudi Arabia, we played at a wedding. Which was, yes.
It would have been
I think actually that's secret. So,
but it must have been fairy tale, right? The wedding.
It was. Oh my God! It was really fairy tale. So beautiful women, only women, thousands of women, and we were all women. So that's why we were and so beautiful and so beautifully dressed and wow. Incredible.
But it was not, if I can ask, it was not a wedding between women.
No.
Oh, okay.
They party separate. The men party and the women party.
I see, on the parties. Okay, I thought that you were on the wedding because, of course, in these countries it would not probably happen. This kind of it would be.
Actually, the groom came for a little while, but then he left again.
No, it's great
because they come unveiled. The women come unveiled.
I see. So, I see. No, it must be a very interesting experience to see this. Yeah. So you played there, the whole ensemble.
The whole ensemble.
And you played through the ceremony or only at this party?
Only at the party, which was incredible.
Wow. So, and then you started really to concentrate on teaching, which is your great hobby actually at the same time. You really like it, right?
Yes.
So what was your first experience as an official position for the teaching? Where was it?
It was here in my hometown in Hanover. I don't remember, to be honest. I honestly don't remember what the first... I always liked teaching, and I was very happy when they offered me this teaching position at the University of Hamburg. Although I have to commute between Hanover and Hamburg, and it's only 1 day a week. But still, it includes pedagogy, which is my hobby, as you tell. Yes.
So how many students you have now at the moment?
In pedagogy, I have 3, and 3 other ones with harp. One is a jazz major. I don't teach her jazz, but because I can't do that. She studies with a pianist, but the classical harp is with me, and one is going to be a teacher, and one is going to be working with small children. That's my students, and I'm very proud of the jazz harpist because she was accepted to play in Cardiff with her band.
Wow, fantastic! And how old are your students? They are in the age of the beginners, and then a little bit older, or only the advanced ones?
In Hamburg, only advanced. Here in Hanover, the beginners, to advanced.
Yeah, and now it interests me. When you went to Bloomington, have you had to change your technique, your positions, which you now know you did not need to? So you are using now what you were learning from the very beginning.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah, and what was the school which you have been using and you are using now for the children?
You mean French, German school, or what?
The etude, if you used Nademans or used Grossi, or which school, actually, which etudes for the younger one?
I don't use so many etudes, to be honest. I use what I call finger gymnastics, which I invent myself. So there's 4 pages eventually of finger gymnastics with 50
exercises.
With, and at some point they always have to choose their own exercise, considering what they're learning. So they look at the piece and they check which exercise goes with this.
I understand.
So I don't use Grossi. I do have for the very small children. I use method books. For the older ones, the whole Bernard Andrés pieces and stuff like that.
You mentioned Mr. Andrés, and you have also a picture with him here.
Yes.
So, yeah, it was at some concert, or you played his piece, or tell me a little bit about this picture.
I'm now the president of the German Harp Association. Then I was just a member of the board, and he had been invited to Germany, and we offered to organize this masterclass in my school of music. So that was a great joint venture, and actually Silke, who was just saying hi, was there too performing. And it was three days with lots and lots of harpists, and we had 3 harp classes from Düsseldorf, from Hanover, and from Cologne coming together, playing pieces by Andrés, and he conducted them, like the Duat and the Akamak. And what else did we do? And then some had, so he did a masterclass on his pieces, and children performed, and we had several concerts with most of his pieces performed. The duos, the Jardin de Paon, he had just written the En Bal en Champagne, and he talked about that. And he talked about his pieces. He talked about about many things.
And did he perform by himself as well, or not? Because I have never heard him to play.
I do have small videos, which I believe I'm not supposed to share. He grabbed a harp and then he wrote a little bit, but he played a little bit, but he didn't perform a recital or so.
And do you know, is he really like a harpist who was studying the harp, or he just knows?
No. He was a harpist. And he was in the orchestra with Radio France, I think.
So really professional, because his pieces are really so well written for the harp. It's so absolutely clear that he must understand the instrument very well.
Yes.
It's wonderful. So, and you mentioned that you have really very important positions in the, actually in, not only that you are the president of the German Harp Association. Tell me what's around that, what you have to do, what, I bet it must be a lot of work behind.
It is, I was very honored, and I didn't think it was so much work, to be honest. What we do, and which I really think is a we say in German, lighting house, like important thing of our work, is every 3 years we organize a competition. And last time there were over 100 applications and 80 contestants finally. And it was such a nice atmosphere. And it starts with young ones, but goes also into the professional part. And the what I think is the interesting part of this competition is that we ask for orchestra excerpts as well. So so it's not only solo pieces, not for the little ones, but then. And for the next year, we are trying to finance a double action harp for the young ones who can't afford a double action harp, to give it to them for 3 years. Wow. The problem was we didn't meet this year, and we couldn't make the final decision and ask all the members. So that would be so great if that would work out.
That's an amazing idea. That's really fantastic. I just wonder, is it the same competition which is also in church Silke? Because she was talking about some competition for the young, for the German.
No. That's Jung musiziert. Jung musiziert is taking place each year, and it's for all the instruments. And it's 3 levels. It's first the regional, and then from there on, everyone who wins gets to the next stage, and so it's always a 3-year tournament. One year there's organ and harp and I don't know what. The next year is harp ensemble, and the 3rd year you can also enter with harp, but as a accompaniment instrument.
I see. Okay.
So that's Jung musiziert. Ours is in the 3rd year, where you can only enter as accompaniment, is one competition just for harps.
Okay.
And last time we had we always have fabulous juries, and it's so much fun. Last time was Nicoletta Zanzin and Cleonador from Italy, Cleonadoris from Ireland, and Park Stickney. And yes, and we always try to have juries from abroad. They can judge without
having some protections. Yeah, and this competition is only for Germans as well. That competition which you are talking about.
It is only for Germans, but you can also compete when you are a member. So if you're from abroad, you need to be a member, and then you can.
Member of the German Association.
Yes.
And you can be member even you are not German.
Yes.
That's interesting. That's nice to know. So everybody who is interested, just get. I will of course ask for some contacts so that I can then share the links. So maybe if you have it now, I can really to write it down so that I can.
I haven't prepared this, but it's here.
Nice, wonderful. So is there any website so that I can now maybe write it down so that the people can?
Yes, it's www.harfe
Mhm.
Minus
Uh-huh.
VDH.
VDH. Okay. Yes. .de.
Yes,
Yes, I see. Yeah. Okay. I see that.
but it's only in German, everything. So
Yes. I think it's fine. I think that everybody can understand. So I will just put it there. This is the
great.
site so that you can look at it. And of course, it's very interesting to. So the levels, there are 3 categories, right? You said 5.
Five
So,
age groups
Mhm.
from up to, I think, up to 12, up to 15, up to 18, up to 21, and up to 28. And then we have an
Okay,
open.
she also wrote it down, so it's nice. Thank you very much, Silke, for
Danke.
the.
And then we have an open, VDH open, where you can just perform what you want and no age group. And so last time we had only, last time it was the first time, and we had only 3 competitors, but very different. One did pop and singing, and the other one did jazz, and the third one did medieval singing with a Gothic harp.
So as you say, then it means that the program is absolutely free. Everybody can play whatever. There is no required pieces.
No.
Neither like period of time of the compositions and something. And how long the program has to be for the
12 minutes, I think. 12 to 15 minutes or so.
For each category, or each category has a different?
Each category is different, and it's just for the open stage.
Yeah. And tell me, what is the latest, I mean the oldest one? When is the limit for the competitors to be able to participate?
So for the oldest, they have to be born after 92.
92. Okay. All right. And the age at the beginning, it doesn't make any border. There is no from.
Sorry?
There is no limit from which age they can participate. No. There is no limit. Okay. So when they are 1 year old and they play the harp, they can come.
We actually made it a little more open. So if there's a younger one who wants to compete in a higher level, she can, or he can.
That's wonderful.
So that's why we said that's the limit, and not between and.
So we are talking about this competition, which you can just now write down the website and see all the instructions and of course all the rules for this competition, where you can participate even you are not German, but if you are a member. So you have to take the membership, probably apply for the membership and be part of it. And so you do it every year?
No, every 3 years.
Every
oh my God, no, I couldn't do that every year.
I was afraid that you would do it every year, Mike.
No, every 3 years.
How many people is involved in it as a organization?
It depends. Many. So that's the good thing. The main it's some of them choose a program, some of them do the reception, some of them do this, and so there are many people involved, and that's a good thing.
And as you said, only to repeat, they can compete the classical harpist together with the jazz harpist at one category. It makes no difference.
Only in the open category, which is the 6th category. We have program. I mean, like the smallest one. Oh, I have to. Like the group 5, for example, we have Fauré impromptu, and then to choose from Mariscotti, Scarlatti, and Parish Alvas, and Salcedo. And then we have the orchestra excerpts, Salome and Britain Young Person's Guide, and Wagner, Walküre. And for the second round, Sicilian Varié and Hudi Sonata, or to choose, or Hindemith Sonata. Actually, we did that. We started choosing the program a little bit, so it's a step towards USA and Israel. So we look at the programs from Israel and USA, and try to include as much possible pieces so people can start preparing for that if they want. So it's a step towards.
Right.
And although not many, I mean, last USA competition, you were there. There were 8 people from Germany competing for the first time. That was a huge number, and so even if they hadn't competed on our competition prior, not all of them, it is kind of encouraging, and it's a step towards it.
Great idea. That's great idea, because they can, of course, try it in case they want. They can try it at your competition first. I believe that it's before the big competitions.
Yes.
So they can really try it there, or at least they can really prepare it for. And they have 2 options. They can go for both, or even just for one. But they have options to choose from. That's very clever.
And we try to do the options so they can wisely choose if they want to go to Israel or to USA. Prepare for that. I mean, you did both. Oh, I can't believe that.
In 3 months.
In 3 months. Incredible.
But it's a really clever thing what you do, because this is really important that the people can also choose the program which they like, because sometimes they like some pieces from Israel, some pieces, and then they like some pieces from Bloomington, and finally they don't want to go to any, but then they can choose from your competition what they really like from both of these big competitions. That's really wonderful. And you have also some of the free choice in these categories, or it's everything required? And
no, there's some free choice. There's always some free choice, yes.
And it's 2 rows, I mean 2 stages.
Yes. Yes.
And in the second stage, you have also the orchestra parts, or is it only in the first one?
No, it's only in one. It's only in the first one, so they really have to play that. But it is called for solo and orchestra excerpts.
No, it's very nice, and I just wonder, you give, of course, exactly what they should play from those excerpts, right? Because otherwise, they don't know. So that's very, very interesting, and I'm sure that many people will now search and look, and I'm sure that they will apply. Just if you can just remind, when is the next competition?
In beginning of May next year.
So it's
28th of April to 2nd of May next year.
And when is the deadline for application?
Oh, it's only in February.
So there is plenty of time.
Yes.
And they need to send the tape for being for the application?
No, we haven't done that. No, we hope that it'll be not more than 80 this next year.
Mine. So
that was pretty much the limit.
It was 80 last year, you said, last time.
Yes.
And you have listened to everyone?
No, I was on the jury of the small ones. We had to divide the juries, so we had age group 1 and age group 2 at the same time. So we had 2 juries, so I haven't heard all of them. And being the main organizer, you always run around. So
of course,
looking for this and that. And
wonderful.
Everybody happy.
Apply through the internet, I believe that it's the application. It's made online so that they can apply. And you need only probably the CV and photograph, or I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that's all on the website from November on. So there's time for that too.
Wonderful, wonderful. So wait for November, search, look, and go to apply, and you will have certainly maybe more than 80 people now to apply. So.
Oh my God, what have I done?
No, it will be wonderful. We have again now, some clubs for from mother of Veronika Alalemyshenko. So, and this is not only one position you are taking. You are also main president editor of the World Harp Congress Review, which is
Yeah.
one of the major magazine in the harp world. So how did this happen, and how long have you been there already working for this?
When I was in Sydney, Mario Falsao came up to me and he said, "Have they been talking to you?" And I said, "No." "So watch out." And I'm like, "What for?" "I can't tell you." Oh. And I had been correspondent for ages for Germany, and actually ever since the international news from Germany are that little, because I don't have time anymore. And Anne Young was doing it prior to me. The first editor was Linda Wood.
Yes.
She did it for ages, and then Anne Young did it. And they asked in the review if anyone was interested and or had ideas. So I wrote to Anne, and I wrote, "You know what? I have this and this idea. She might be a great choice, and you know her because she's one of your former students, blah, blah." And she reacted very reluctantly, and she wrote, "I think they have already someone in mind." Okay, good. And then suddenly Cleona Doris calls me up and says, "It's you we're having in mind." And I'm like, I can't do this. This is not my mother tongue. I can't do an English review. And but I was, on the other hand, I was so honored by and so intrigued by the idea, because I've always been interested in harp history and in bringing people together and all that. So I said I would do it, and then the critique of the first review I did was, yes, that was so funny to read British English and American English and Australian English, and I was there, oh, I didn't even know there was so many Englishes. I'm doing my best. I know I see mistakes whenever it comes from the printer. But yeah, I liked, for example, this cover, I liked it so much. It's from Slovenia.
Wow. And
That
you
was so cool.
received the samples of from people, or you choose the cover of the harp review?
It's done by our designer, but I sent her pictures, and I say, do this, 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 this. And the last one was the postponement of the World Harp Congress.
Yeah.
And the texts are sent. There are suggestions by the board, and I write to the people, and some people contact me and ask, I have this text, would you be interested in it? Sometimes I ask people if they want to write something, and one of the many things I do myself, to be honest. And then what I really like a lot is the national news, because that really brings me. When I first started it, it was so funny, because not funny. Within a day, I wrote to Australia and to Korea and to Japan and to Argentina, and being connected to so many people is really, really nice. It's a little bit like friendships already. And they sent me texts and pictures, and then I tried to bring them into a better English. Sometimes some of them are very good, some of them are not so good, and yes.
So
and then I have around 60 correspondents all over the world who send me information about the news in their country.
So every text which it's in the book, in the magazine, has to go through your hands.
Yes.
Amazing. It's a lot of work. I mean, it has to be 24 hours a day, I guess.
When it comes to the deadline, yes.
And when is the deadline? I hope it's not tomorrow.
No. It's always. I have a designer. I send it to the designer, and then after 2 weeks, she sends it back, and then I can still correct things, and then it goes back and forth. And
this issue of magazine, it's four times a year, right?
No, it's only twice. It's twice a year.
It's only to half a year.
So most work is during spring break and in fall, in summer break. So when I don't have to teach in Hamburg.
And now during the pandemic, was it also released, one of the issue, or not? Because it was during the spring time.
Yes, it was released. It's this one with a postponement. And at that point, everybody still could send me news, what happened during, because we have a deadline in February. So they all sent me news, and only South Korea wrote, I can't send you anything because of the coronavirus. And I was, and there are no concerts, and I was like, ooh, they're canceling everything. Wow. And then 3 weeks later, they canceled everything here too. Yeah. So I'm not sure what's going to happen in August when there's the next deadline.
We will see, yeah. But maybe it can be interesting to have maybe stories from the people, you know, for actually the experiences from their countries, how it was going through and something. But it's really, or maybe you can postpone the releasing.
I had sent an idea to me, which I already started working on, but not very intensive. The idea of comparing the Couplet quintet with the coronavirus.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I'm not going to write it, but I think that's an interesting idea.
That's it. See, that's really wonderful. And you do only for those who has no the review, the World Harp Congress review. If you are the member of the World Harp Congress, you automatically get the review printed?
Yes. We're trying to put it online, actually. So that instead of sending it out twice a year, people can have the option to just download it. Members, of course.
Wonderful. So you don't need, even if you are only 1 year old, 1 year old, one year member payment, you can get it. It's not that you have to be 3 years member.
No. You get 2 issues, and that's it.
That's it. Okay. And you can choose if you want to have the printed version or if you want to download, or you can do both.
We're still in the progress of downloading the thing. We haven't done that yet.
I see. Okay, but it is printed in the United States, right?
Yes.
So the
designer is also in the United States. So I haven't met her.
So you really only everything you prepare, and then it goes to the printer in the United States, and then it comes everything to Europe again.
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. And now you have already almost everything prepared for the next issue, or
no? Not yet. No, not yet. I'll do that in a month's time or 2 months. Yes.
And the people who were paying for the membership, because because they wanted to go to the Congress in now, which was supposed to be in Cardiff. How does it? Do they also get the issues, or are they able to receive the magazine?
I think so. I think they got it. Yes, they should have gotten it because they're members now. I'm to be honest. We have a membership chair who takes care of that.
Yeah. So, I just wonder because I don't know how does it work. I don't know if it works that you pay and from that time you are the member, or if it only works from the time when the Congress is happening. So that the 1 year, I don't know from when to when the membership actually is valid.
Yes, I'm not sure how they do it.
Because I also paid for the membership, but I have not received any magazine. So I wonder if it's possible to know from when. That's why I ask, because I paid for 1 year because of the Congress, but I have not been receiving anything. So I don't know if it was because it was meant to be valid from the time of Congress, or.
So no. I think you should have gotten one. I'll check on that. When did you?
But if there are more people having the same question, I would like just to know if there is any option to find out how does this work. And
can you write to the membership chair at worldharpcongress.com?
Yes, I will. Yeah, that's no problem. Just in case someone has the same question that
and she should have some extras in case it got lost in the mail.
Otherwise, I will wait until it will be possible to download. I will be happy to read it later. Thank you so much. So now what's coming on? Is there something new which you would be able to tell us as a secret? What's coming in these issues, for example, preparation, what the people can expect in the next issue in autumn?
To be honest, I'm not sure myself. I don't know yet.
Is there any limit for how long the magazine has to be, or if you received any of the articles and any information, you always put it there, or is it any?
No. We have a page limit, of course. Well, we don't have a page limit. I can belong, but this time, for example, in the very last moment, I took out an article which I wrote myself. On the and that brings us to the next theme, on the Finnish harp competition and the festival, the Helsinki harp
in Finland.
Yes.
And where in Finland?
In Helsinki.
In Helsinki.
And it was the end of February, and I wrote a nice article on it, but then we had to cut out some. I always after the designer sends me the first draft, and then I cut down. So I will have something on the Helsinki Harp Festival.
And this is interesting because honestly, even I think that I'm trying to know about all these harp events, but this I have not seen anywhere. It was the first time in probably.
Yes. If I understood well. The Scandinavian harpists gathered last year in Oslo, and they for the first time, and they enjoyed it so much. They said, "Well, let's gather each year in a different Scandinavian country." So last year it was in Oslo. This year in Helsinki. Next year it will be in Sweden, and there were some really, really nice lectures and very interesting music to me, which I had no idea of. And there was also a competition, and I was asked to be on the jury for this competition. And yes, I just wanted to go there because I wanted to go to Helsinki, and I ended up being in the jury. That was very nice.
That's wonderful.
There's lights.
And the festival was only for Scandinavian harpists, or it was also?
No, it was an international. There were competitors from Italy and from Switzerland and from Poland, and of course from Finland.
Nice. So not only for performing, it was not only the festival, but the competition as well, as you said.
Yes.
And the competition also, it was international, so that people could have attended. So, and it's every year then.
As far as I understood, it will be every year, but every year in a different Scandinavian. And for example, Delphine Konstantin Resnik, she had a great lecture on a Bohemian harpist living in Sweden, on Edward Praté. I hadn't heard of him ever, and she had a festival last year in Sweden and dedicated to him, and she had a lecture and played some of his pieces, a contemporary of Mozart, if I remember right, maybe later, a little later. And great music, and it still needs to be. Have you heard of Praté? Maybe, but
no.
Really great music.
Even he comes from my country. I have not heard about him. That's interesting.
And she was going to give a lecture on in Cardiff as well.
And the music is it's published, or it was someone?
She was going to publish it. It wasn't published at the time, but he was one of the Paganinis of the harp.
Fantastic. That's really very, very interesting, and I think that it would be interesting for everybody, of course. And he was living in Scandinavia then.
In Sweden.
Sweden directly. So, and how long was this festival in Helsinki? Was 1 week?
I think 4 days. I don't even. Yes, 4 days.
Okay. Okay. That's wonderful to know. So this will be in the next review, certainly the article about it. So we will be able to, if we'll get the next one, because I have also now read that Veronika Lemeshenko also has not received anything, and she also said that if it will be digital version, that it will be really nice, because she has me neither, so that we know that. Yeah, and here's also some Miss Delphine Konstantin Resnik isn't about you and parade competitions. Yeah, so it's very, very, really nice and interesting information. Is there anything new also in the harp world which is coming now and we don't know yet, but the World Harp Congress Review already knows?
No, not to my knowledge. No.
I would be interested, is there any possibility that maybe there will be always a list of all the competitions which happened all over the world? Because it's really hard to find, and it's so many of them. And I know that even students are always looking and searching, and they said, I don't know where to find it. If you have it, absolutely amazing. That's super great. May I ask you, would you be so kind, in case, to make a screen of this page only, and I will put it down after in the comments of this interview, because it will be really nice to have it, and I'm sure that everybody will appreciate this.
It was in the earlier reviews, and I put it back in compiling everything I found. Also master classes, and it's always one page of competition and master classes. Fantastic.
And is it possible also finally to maybe on the World Harp Congress Review, if it's any page directly of the Congress Review web page, is it possible also that it will be mentioned there, maybe, that everybody can look at it on the internet?
I can talk to Cleona about that. Yes.
Because I think that to find all these informations also...
Actually, I think the review should be online shortly. I think we decided to put it on online, not for members this year and for members after that. I already sent it to the person in charge, but it hasn't been uploaded yet. Maybe there's some difficulty.
So if I may ask you, if you are so kind, as soon as you will know that it's on the internet, please let me know. I will, of course, inform and make a big notice on the Harp channel, so that everybody will know that it's online and that we can all download it and see all the information there.
Yes.
of course, to have everything in one package that we can just click and find all the competitions, all the masterclasses. This is so helpful, because to search everywhere and just to rewrite again the emails, addresses, and everything, if it's on the internet, it's always much quicker, and we can just click. That's super great. Wonderful. So, and now tell me, we have also a lot of beautiful pictures. If you don't mind that we can go through them.
Well, I sent them to you in order to.
That's wonderful. And we have, from the very beginning, our little Isabel.
So I'm the one to the left with a dolly, of course, and behind me is my father. And there's my brother and my mother, and my brother is 2.5 years older than I am, and that's in Spain already. That's in the suburbs of Madrid, in Mirasierra, when we lived there. But
you were born in Germany, you said.
Yes, I was born in Germany. And but when I was about 1 year, we went to Spain. We lived in Spain for pretty much 5 years. So I started speaking in Spain.
Okay, so you were going to school or the kindergarten and you learned Spanish.
Yes, actually, I went to a nuns' kindergarten in Barcelona by Catalan nuns. And although Catalan at that time was forbidden by Franco, they, of course, in the convent spoke Catalan. So I do understand it. I don't speak it, but I understand it.
And your parents, they were speaking also Spanish at home, or which language they have chosen, actually?
Both. So when I speak to my father, it's very funny. I pick up the phone, and the language I pick up the phone, we're talking. It can be that we call each other 5 minutes later and we change to the other language. Or that in the middle of a sentence, he doesn't know a word, so he switches to Spanish, and I switch to Spanish until I don't know a word, and then we switch to German, and it's very funny. And with my mother, of course, I've always only speaking German.
German. That's what I wanted to know, because some children, I know, when they have like 2 languages at home, they speak only to mother in that language she speaks, and to father the other language they speak, and then they saw that maybe the mother is a woman, so all the women speak only that language and all the men speak only that language. I already find out that some people have this kind of imagination. So you also switched, that you spoken with father Spanish and with mother German.
To be honest, I don't remember the first years so much, but it seems that my mother only spoke German to me and my father only spoke Spanish to me.
Nice. And now I already showed this. It is a nice picture with Nicanor Zabaleta. Where was it?
That can I tell the whole story? Do we have time for that? Because it's a nice story too. When I was in the orchestra in '92, I learned about that masterclass Zabaleta was giving in Santiago de Compostela. And I spoke to my mother and I said, oh, what a pity, the application deadline's already over. And she said, well, call him. And I said, who? Well, Nicanor Zabaleta. And I said, I can't call Nicanor Zabaleta. And he's a human being. Call him. So I called him. And I don't even know how I knew his telephone number, but I called him. And then he said, I'm not responsible of it. Call the secretary. So I called the secretary. And she said, please call back in 2 days. So I called back in 2 days, and she said, the scholarship has been awarded. And I'm like, what scholarship? I mean, I wasn't applying for it. I would have paid for it. I don't know why they gave me a scholarship. I got it. So I went to Santiago de Compostela in the north of Spain in summer '92. And for 3 weeks, we were working with him for 3 weeks, which is quite a long time for a masterclass, I think.
Wow. And how many students were there?
How many students? We were, I think, 6 or 7.
It's a lot.
From 2 from Italy, 2 from Spain, me, 1 from Mexico, and 1 from Korea.
Which language Korean has spoken? The other ones, I can imagine that they were spoken Spanish or some kind of this language which is very similar, but Korean, it's very interesting.
I think she spoke English, some sort of English.
Yeah.
And then I asked him for an interview, and he graciously accepted that I would interview him. And I wrote down some questions, and I went through them with my father. And he said, "You can't ask him that. That's too personal. You can't ask him that. That's too personal." So, funny enough, he gave that interview, and although I did,
The string has broken.
string has broken, although I didn't ask him those questions, he answered them, those personal questions, and that interview turned out to be one of his last interviews, because he deceased in January 93. So that was in August 92, and he was already battling cancer. Yes. And it was really great to get to know him.
But he looks like a very healthy man here. He looks like very well.
You know, at some point I asked him how old he was, and he said his age, and I said, "Wow, you don't look like that." And he said, "Yes, that's why, because I'm dyeing my hair, but I stopped doing that. If you see me next year, I will be all white."
He was a very charming man. Certainly he was. And here we have another picture. This is you, or on the left, is it you?
Yes, that's me. In Midsummer Night's Dream by Britten, in the opera in Hildesheim, opera house nearby. And I subbed there. I wasn't a principal harpist, but I played principal harpist. The second harpist there is the principal harpist, but she fell right before, and she had some arm problems and issues. So she asked me to play first harp.
And they had the little harp there, one big and one little, because the gold one, it looks like very little with a straight soundboard, and smaller one.
Yes. Actually, it looks like my old Line and Healy, which I have there.
It's interesting. Now it's the picture which I showed already before from the Bloomington.
Yes.
So it's also a very large class, actually.
With Anne Young, which I believe will be here next month. And Young Kwok and Beatriz Millan from Spain, and Santiago Morales from Mexico, Cleona Doris from Ireland, and Mieko Inoue from Japan, and Having Fun. Where's Shushin? She should be somewhere.
Really so small. I just was trying to count. It looks like it's maybe she's behind, behind Ella, not Ella, but there.
The next one, yes, I think so.
Yeah, and when I count, it's about 18 or 19 students. Yes. I remember when I was there for that 1 year, it was 25 students.
Oh,
it's amazing.
Incredible. Yes.
Really. And here's some ensemble.
That was Blue Lake Fine Arts Camp, which is in Michigan. And I built up the harp program there in 90. I'm not sure if I started it in 94 or 95. And I did it, I think, for 3 years in a row, 2 or 3 years. And then someone else took over, and I took over the Czech music camp in Horní Jelení, but I don't have pictures. And many of the campers didn't even play harp, so they started there.
Really? So they applied for coming and to learn the harp at the camp?
Yes.
Sweet. And how did you get the instruments when they were not having their own?
Oh, there was this older lady, which at this point I can't remember her name. and she was very, very good in getting funds for that. So she did all that.
Fantastic. Because of course, to get so many harps, it's really amazing, you know, when the people are not having them at home. And do they still play, those people who come for the camp and they learn the harp there?
I don't know. I think one from Hornijenini, doesn't Clara? Didn't she even study with you later?
My mother. This is my mother.
Ah, okay.
Yes, indeed. And here you have the ensemble which you were talking about,
yes.
or?
Yes, right. To the very far right, it's only rehearsal, of course. To the right is my former teacher, Ruth Kronhäuser, and then the second harp is me.
Wonderful. And you were having Salvi harp, right?
No, that's actually an Aoyama harp.
It's Aoyama, okay.
That's Aoyama. And that's in Tel Aviv, that concert or that rehearsal.
Wow. And here it's in USA?
Yes, I entered the USA International Harp Competition in 98, which, yes, I didn't make it to the second round, to be honest, but preparing for that competition was valuable for all my recitals ever after. I'm in the middle with a greenish, bluish dress. And next to me is Shushin.
Yes.
And to the right is Elisa, a Spanish harpist, and Ramiro from Argentina, I think. But finally, it was won by Xavier, but I don't think Xavier is on the picture. Xavier
But I certainly agree with you to even prepare the program. It gives so much for the entire life for the people, because it's something, the programs are always so huge. So even if you learned only the program for one competition, you have program for the whole 3 recitals already. So it's really, it's super great for the people to have this kind of target for learning. We have also a message now from Marisa Robles.
Oh, that's nice.
So also about Nicanor Zabaleta, of course.
Marisa, we met once. I don't know if you remember. I was in your house and I was having a lesson with you in the early 90s.
She's really wonderful, and I'm so thankful that Marisa is with us also today. She's really so lovely, and I'm so happy and of course honored that we have such wonderful people to be with us today. Here we have from 2005 Spanish Baroque. You play also Baroque harp?
I try to. It's a beautiful sound, and it's a beautiful harp made by Martin Gust, a harp maker here in the region. I told him all the measurements, and he did a wonderful job. And the technique is quite different, and playing, and also the technique in your head has to be quite different because it's chromatic. It's not diatonic.
Right. It looks like one line, but it has 3 lines, or
it has 2 lines which are crossed. So it's the white strings and the black strings, keys, and it's crossed. And you can tell there's always 3 and 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 and 2. So the upper row are the black ones, and the lower row are the white ones.
And it must be it looks like that the strings are also much more narrow than the normal.
Yes, and it's a very light technique, and you have to play like that, of course, not like this.
So it's totally really different.
It's more a hobby. I do it for my own pleasure.
And is there any school where you can study that, or you really have to find out by yourself because there is no teacher to?
No, there are so many teachers out there. I worked with Andrew Lawrence King, of course, who can play all sorts of Baroque harps, also the Spanish, and there are many harpists too. to learn.
And there, because it is the Baroque German harp. This is the German harp, because there is a difference between the Baroque Italian harp, which is bigger and has 3 rows, right? Or how?
Right. Right. The Italian harp has 3 rows, and it's always white and black, white and black. So that's the Italian. This is the Spanish, and the German one is there's also a double German harp, which is hardly known, and that's only like this. So.
And that's also 1 row is chromatic, and 1 note are half notes, and the second row is the normal.
Yes.
So, but then you have to play only one hand, the half note, or you can. Or
no, the strings are in the upper row. They're the diatonic and the chromatic. So if you need a chromatic, you just go through, and in the lower register it changes. So you play a little bit like this, and then
and how do you know from which string it has changed? That it's from the middle.
Oh, you can tell. The middle row goes through. So chromatics. Yes.
I see. Okay. Wow. For me, it is like a
mystery. I'm not telling wrong things at this point.
It is for me. You can tell me whatever, because for me, it's a mystery, and I'm really so interested. I would love so much to see that, how it functions, because it's really so interesting. We have also. Is Marisa once more? She writes in Spanish.
Sí. Estuvo allí y me acuerdo muy bien que hicimos that we did scales, and the La Rivière scales, where the right hand starts and the left hand goes after 2 notes, and my head was going zoof. And now I do it with my students when they're already 8. But each time I play it, and I play it every day to warm up, I think of you, Marisa, really.
And maybe, Isabel, would you be so kind to translate what is the question?
Oh, it's not a question. I'm very sorry that I don't remember your visit at my house. Were you here in London? Yes, and I was.
Well, Marisa has so many people to meet, so I totally understand that it can happen. And here we have also a message from Gloria Galandet that she studied with Nicanor Zabaleta. And we have a wonderful message also from Sionette Williams.
Oh, Sionette. Yes, lovely to see you.
So lovely.
Yes.
And here's once more from Gloria, also. Hello from Philadelphia. So it's
Hi.
great. Yeah. And
I'm so touched. I'm having some.
We have really always so beautiful people with us, and I'm so thankful to join us. And so let's go back to the pictures. Oh, this is so interesting. I have actually today, you would not believe, and it has not been connected absolutely with this picture. Even I have known that you have sent it, of course, but I have seen the Mozart double concerto, which was played by Anna Markarova, which I already shared at her birthday when she had, and she was playing with the flutist on the pan flute.
Yeah.
And I have never been even able to imagine that someone can play the Mozart double harp flute concerto on pan flute. And my father is a flutist, and I showed him today, and he said wow, he is really amazing, because he played so easily. And I can imagine that you have the same experience when you play this duo. Can you just tell us a little bit about it?
Actually, I know him a little longer than my husband, 3 months longer. Matthias Schlubeck, as you can see, was born without full arms. And he called me up one day if I wanted to play with him. And I didn't see him, and I didn't know his background. And I was, pan flute. I don't want to play in the shopping mall. And just to be polite, I said, well, send me some recordings. And I was so amazed by his playing. And we started giving concerts, and I have been giving concerts ever since. And our first one was Mozart Flute and Harp Concerto.
I have not known that it's possible. I thought that it was just one example, and you really did it also.
And I just like him as a person so much. He's a very kind, very caring, very musical person, and he helps me carrying the harp around. He drives car like hell. Very safe though, very safe. And he is a 3 times gold medal winner in swimming at the Paralympics.
Amazing.
He's just an amazing person. And he does all the arrangements. Actually, we don't do much arrangement. He just plays everything. And yes.
Absolutely. And he has a large pan flute, right? Because
he has three different, but not he doesn't want anything to be extra. So it's a pan flute which is normally made for people. It's not. Yeah.
No, this is absolutely for me, as I had the experience today, and then I saw that actually you have the picture with the pan flute as well. I said, like, this is such a coincidence, because I have never seen it before, you know, and never heard it together before. It's amazing.
I like it so much, that sound. It's such a mellow, round sound.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And do you have any recording? Is it possible to see it on the YouTube as well?
There were things which were done, which were posted on YouTube without our knowledge, but I think there are again, which I mean, he is on YouTube he plays with various instruments. He also plays with the guitar and organ and stuff.
I will search. If I find,
we have 2 or 3 recordings. One Christmas, one, yeah.
CD it's a CD as well.
Yes.
And is it possible to get it somewhere, to order it, or to be able to?
I'll send you.
Yeah. No. I just
need your address.
I just wanted to also that the people has the chance. So I would be happy to write the web page where they can order it. Maybe.
You can always order through his webpage, which is schlubeck.com.
Schlubeck.
With CK at the end.
Schlubeck.com. Like this. I just want to show it.
No, with CK at the end.
Oh, CK. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oops, this is not correct. I have to go out, back. Oh, how is it? Here. CK. Okay, CK. Okay.
And just 1 dot, of course.
1 dot, of course. Yeah, sure. Like that. So
that was the editor.
Indeed. So this is the way how where you can order the CDs of the pan flute with the harp. So, and you have 2 CDs already.
There's an L missing. Schlubeck.
Schlubeck. Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry. I didn't see that before.
Schlubeck. So the 3rd trial. I hope it's. Sorry for that. Yeah. So now it is correct. So please hear before it was wrong. Now it's the correct address. Order the CDs with Isabel and Mr. Schlubeck as the pan flute player. Yeah. So, do you have any concerts now coming up together as a duo?
No. I think the first they have all been cancelled, and I think the next one is only in October or so, and then Christmas time. But all my concerts have been cancelled.
Yeah. And you play still together with Mr. Schlubeck, or?
Yes.
Wonderful. This is picture which I showed already, but those of you who has not been here, so that you know that is with Bernard Andres as the composer, harpist, of course, and we harpists know he wrote so many harp pieces for not only solo but also chamber music. So here we have Isabel. Oh, this is very old harp. It is beautiful instrument.
It's not mine, unfortunately. It's from 1795. Although I think it probably was made right before the French Revolution. And that belongs to something which there was a recording with women composers, which hasn't been released, though. I was in a radio interview once, and the final question was, so what are your next projects? And I hadn't thought about that. And just to say something, anything, I said, women composers for the harp around 1800. And like 2 days later, the mother of a student of mine calls me up and says, you know, I'm in the Music and Gender Institute and I'm the librarian there. And we just last week, we got that huge package of women composers for voice and harp.
Amazing.
Would you like to look through that? So, of course, and that led to an edition of 2 volumes of songs for voice and harp. There were so many. There was written so much. Some of it not good, some of it good. And in these 2 volumes, I tried to include as many composers, women composers, as I could. So I didn't look so much for quality, but also to show how many women have been composing. And
I will show you, because I have here, by the way, I cannot now open it. I just only now, not only now, but today I just realized that I have here also the big dictionary of women composers. You probably know it also. Where I can show it. It's really thick, you know, it's really big one, and it's exactly where you can find all this information. So it's really interesting. Yeah.
So, for example, I have it here. Songs which we represented in Vancouver at the Congress. So, for example, there's Harriet Abrams. She lived in London, and when you see these songs, you think, wow, okay, it's good that we don't know her anymore. But then her pieces were published various times. Not only they have reprinted once, but I think 7 times, because they were so sought after at that time. So I think that's very interesting. And yes.
So the CD which you have recorded on that, it has not been released yet.
No, it won't be released. I'm not happy with it.
Oh, what a pity. You should.
The interesting thing was that we recorded it mainly with a modern double action harp, but we doubled 2 pieces with this single action harp to give an idea how it may have sound at that time.
Amazing, because this harp, I only see also that it has the holes in the soundboard, right? So it's really very, very interesting to see. It's a beautiful instrument, of course. Great. And now here we are in Sydney.
Yes, I just put that in because yes.
The place where you find out that you will be the World Harp Congress Review editor.
Yes, more or less. Yes, that was a nice trip. And I really thank the World Harp Congress to lead me all these great places. And that was Sydney. And I played in a concert which was an homage for Bernard Andrés. And he actually asked that I play on that.
And what did you play by his?
Oh, I played something very simple. I played the Alg for oboe and harp. But it's nice. It's a nice
piece. His pieces are really nice. And now here we have the board of directors of the World Harp Congress, and it's
in Hong Kong. Yes.
Yeah, so we can just say you are right on next to Mario. You're sitting on the left.
Yes. And we have Suzanne MacDonald, the third from the right.
Right.
And,
Pat
Wooster and Karen Fawn and Isabelle Perrin in the second round.
Katie Kinzo is next to Miss McDonald's.
Yes. And
Milda Agazan.
Yes.
Isabel Perrin. And Nicoletta is there also.
And Lieve.
And Lief.
Yes. From Belgium.
Yes.
And Carol, of course, who's organizing Cardiff.
Yes, of course. Yes. You have meetings every year, or how often you do meeting?
Yes, we there is a meeting every year, and I'm yes, and it's always, of course, the year of the Congress we meet at the Congress, and the year after the Congress we meet in the town where there will be the next Congress, and then there's a year when we meet somewhere.
So. And because this year is no Congress,
yes.
So what did you decide? And is there any meeting actually?
Yes, there will be a meeting, a complete online Zoom meeting. We always have the Zoom meeting extra to it. So there's always, because the board members, there are many, many more than on the picture, and they come from all over the world. And if they can't make and afford the travel, because the board members do that all on their own expense. People sometimes think that the World Harp Congress pays for them to fly. They do that all on their own expenses. So and just for the good of the harp world. Yes, so we always have Zoom meetings.
And how long does these Zoom meetings
last? 3 days. They go on. They're there all the time.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really
and imagining that sometimes on the other side of the world, so it's in the middle of the night, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and they sit through all the meetings. It's incredible.
It is, yeah, absolutely. So you will now do some meetings instead of in Cardiff. You will do the meeting, and the next year, would you have already the plan? Of course, next year it will be
Cardiff. So next year would be the next Congress, which is in 23, and it's in St. Petersburg. That's official, so I can.
Yes, of course, it has been already.
So I guess we're doing St. Petersburg next year, the year after, to see.
So the Congress will not be postponed to be the 3 years gap between, but it will be on the right.
I think that's not completely sure. So I won't say anything about it because I don't know it.
Of course,
for sure.
But the next Congress is in St. Petersburg. That it's clear.
Yes.
That we know.
Yes.
And now we have Susan McDonald.
Yes.
It's in Hong Kong.
That was in Hong Kong, yes.
Right. Yeah. Gorgeous.
Yes, I owe her so much. So much. And I mean, she's yes.
Very special lady for me. Very much. Now, tell us, this is an ensemble. You were performing at the Congress as well in Hong Kong.
Yes, that was the opening concert in Hong Kong. And we performed a piece, especially, it's many of the board members there who volunteered to play. So there's Chantal Mathieu. No, actually, the first choice was former hosts of World Harp Congresses, and then it was filled up with board members. So Chantal Mathieu is there, Alice Giles plays, and all that, and yeah, many people, and we only practiced once. We had one rehearsal, and it was a premiere, and I don't think it has been played ever since, a piece which was called A Magical Journey, and it included songs or melodies from all the countries of the former congresses. So what we see here in the back, well, we don't see it so well, is Prague 1999, tribute to Pierre Jamet. And they had asked for pictures of former congresses, and so they were displayed.
That reminds me that when I did the Congress in Prague, I did the opening also of the previous pieces, the congresses. So it was made by, I think that it was the national anthems were there played on the harp of the previous congresses. So we were only seventh Congress, so it was 7 before, but it was composed by the composer František Xaver Turi. It was a composer who was actually called as the last Baroque composer. Unfortunately died already, but he composed this piece for the Congress, and so it reminds me that it has come again for the Congress in Hong Kong. So it's really lovely, but it was much more already of them. Here we have your beautiful harp, which is behind you also today. Tell us about this instrument. It's a gorgeous and special part of the instrument.
I saw it in Hong Kong. I was looking for a new harp for quite some while. And I saw Jacques on the escalator with this harp in Hong Kong, and I was like, please let it sound, please, dear God. And then I tried it, and I fell in love. But I of course I didn't want to buy a harp in Hong Kong, and I was first on the waiting list. At least that's what they told us. So I waited for 9 months, a little bit like giving birth. And I went, I actually had 3 to choose from in the Paris showroom. They had 3, and I chose this one. And I'm very, very happy about it.
It's an amazing instrument, because we can see it now also in reality, put it this way, not only on the picture, but it's wood, and there is from the elephant, or the things from elephant.
Oh, no, that's forbidden.
Okay,
no,
I don't know how does it.
It's ebony. But also ebony is forbidden unless it's a special ebony, and this is special ebony. And then it's carving. It's intarsia. Inlay. It's all inlay. And from what I understood, the wife of one of the carvers at Kamak has a gold medal in inlay, and so they started working on a design, and I saw it. It's the inside of a pearl.
Yeah, the pearl. Okay, so it's a pearl. Yeah,
and it's if you see it from. I think you better see it in the ad. Let's see.
Yeah. But when we see it here, it's there is a little bit more shiny here. Yes.
It's all inlays.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's a quite new model, right? Also.
Yes, it was presented in Hong Kong, and on that picture in the back, that's the lake of my hometown with the town hall of my hometown.
Beautiful. It's really beautiful, and the picture is beautiful also. Honestly, super beautiful. I know that you have also the other one, which I have posted also as an advertisement for the day concert. Is you are staying next to it, but it's from the same view. It's a really beautiful picture. And here we have another picture of
the board. That was in Cardiff when we were looking at the venues. So most of the venues can be used next year too. So we actually go there and go to the venues and look at the venues and if this is right or if this is not right, or it's very interesting.
And here,
that's a master class I was giving in Poland last year, and no, 2 years ago, in Palec Radziejowicz, and it was actually the first time in my life that I went to Poland, and yeah,
that's wonderful. And now to have a little break, because we have some comments there, so that I will not forget to. We have from Anna Bratelevich, who is the assistant of mine for the Harp channel. She was with you in the contact because she was doing the thesis about the paletta. So she's very thankful for all your help which you have done. So, and we have also from Marisa.
Anna, yes. Just to Anna, you know, I have a huge archive up in the attic of my house, and I'm more than happy to share whatever knowledge is there. So I'm very happy to help with things like that.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Marisa, what did she write?
Marisa, she's in London, which I hope that you really will come.
Thank you.
And there is also from Veronica. So it's probably was meant for the harp, so that it's her dream as well.
Ouch.
Stay there. We have here another picture. You were getting some award as a teacher?
Yes, that was last year, and I didn't even know there was this award. It's a very prestigious award in Hamburg, and since I don't live in Hamburg, I didn't know about it. Students can suggest from each part of the university one teacher which they think is especially excellent. And at some point, one of my students told me that she had suggested me, but since the harp department in the School of Music is small, like everywhere in the world, I didn't even think that they would choose me. And so I was chosen to be one of the 14 persons of the whole university, and it was quite a lot of money. And but the thing that my students felt, it was, yes, that I was good enough to be presented with this award, made me very proud. That was great.
Bravo! It's really wonderful. And the lady next to you was probably part of the committee.
She's the minister of, or at that point, is that minister? I'm not sure, of Wissenschaft, of science.
Science. Okay.
Yeah.
And here it's in the USA competition when it was a panel discussion. It was last year, right?
Yes. Linda Wood asked me when she heard that I was coming to Bloomington. She asked me to be on the panel with all these great people to talk about competition preparation. To be honest, I was like, well, all the people here have already competed in the competition, and probably they are the experts. But it was very interesting, and especially touching, because Miss MacDonald at the end said, you know, all these persons sitting here with me on the panel are former students of mine. Can you imagine how proud I am?
That's beautiful. It's so touching. And I remember I came a little bit later, and I came to this panel, and I was on the top of the room, and I remember it was really, really very nice. It was really so interesting. It was so, and of course, it's lovely to see all those people. It's really fantastic. And here we have your class, probably.
No, it's the next master class, which I did in Trieste in Italy. So I think Eugenia is watching, isn't she?
Maybe it is. How lovely. And now here, here.
I choose that because you're there too on that picture.
It's so nice. It's also from the last year in the USA. And here it's you with Linda Wood and Annie Young together.
And we took that picture because it was the first time that we three were together, and we're the three editors of the World Harp Congress Review.
Absolutely, yeah. Linda Wood as the first one, and then was Annie Young, and now it's you. How lovely! And we have the last picture here.
Oh, that's from Helsinki. You said you didn't know. With Gabriela Bosio and I'm not good with Finnish names. Radja.
Maybe someone can help who recognize. I'm so sorry, I don't know.
I think it's well, I should know. I'm sorry. But the funny thing was they had that harp on display.
Just it's the Russian harp, isn't it?
No, it's a Washburn Leinendt Healy. And the thing was that I have the same harp. If I turn a little bit to there.
Oh, how lovely!
So mine is a little older than the harp they had there. Washburn is the middle name of George Lyon. Gustav Lyon, sorry. So they made for some years this instrument, and mine was built in August 1914. So right when the war started.
And do you know who was the owner of your harp?
I got it from the orchestra I was playing in Gotha. It was still there in the attic, and it was in a very desperate condition, and they gave it to me for little money, and I had it restored. So I don't know who was the owner prior to that. Maybe it had been there for his own
from the beginning.
Life, from the beginning.
Yeah, indeed. That's interesting. Really so beautiful, and all these pictures. It's so wonderful stories. And Isabel, is there anything what you now have in your mind to work on, except that you are the editor of the World Harp Congress, except that you are the president of the Harp Society in Germany?
You mean when I have some spare time? Yeah. The idea I have had for many years is to write a pedagogy method on the harp. Not a method how you learn harp, but a method how you teach harp. And so in German we don't have that, and I've been working for that for quite a while, but I would need some time to really put it as a book together. So that's something which
That's fantastic. And is it going to be in German only, or would you also make it in English?
With Google Translate, it's no big deal to translate it into English.
It will be certainly welcome by many people all around the world. So this is your now plan, and we hope that we will see it very soon. So I really hope that maybe next year at the Congress, maybe it can be already published.
I haven't thought of that.
Maybe that's the reason why the Congress was postponed.
Yes, just because of me.
This way, so that we have 1 year to finish it, and just that we can enjoy it next year, and to be able to purchase it. It will be really wonderful. Isabel, is there any piece you like to play the best? I mean, for yourself, which you like, which pieces or which period of time of pieces you like the best?
That's hard to say, but one of my favorites has always been Vers la source dans le bois. And yeah. think
And
so.
do you more prefer to play solo, or do you more prefer to play with as a chamber music? Because I know that in the orchestra you did not too much enjoy it, but that you more prefer to play the solo or chamber. But
I enjoy doing chamber music quite a lot, and especially with Matthias, because he's such a great person to work with, and we can rely completely on each other. We don't even have to look at each other to know when to start. It's we breathe the same. We I don't know. And the nice thing about Matthias is when I screw up at some point, he screws up a little later, so I don't feel bad.
No.
He says he doesn't do it on purpose, but I believe he does it on purpose.
It's a real partner on the stage, right?
Yes.
And I hope really that we will be able to listen to your duo, and that in case you will have any concert, please let us know also, because I would like to, of course, invite people for having this experience with this wonderful duo combination. It's really, for those who came later, is the pan flute and harp, and it's here. So it's really something very special, and I think that we should not miss this opportunity to see this experience and hear this experience. So I really hope that you know where to order the CDs. It's here at this .com, the internet. I'm just sorry for that. www.schlubeck.com page, and you can order 2 CDs of Isabel with Mr. Schlubeck. And I hope that there is also possible to order your solo pieces as well.
Not really. They're out of stock, and I'm not going to order them.
But maybe you can also, as the other things to be downloaded, maybe you can also put some kind of them to be able to download, because if you have ever recorded, it's pity that we will not be able to, and the other generation will not be able to hear it. And I will just only go through once that for those who were not here, this is the web page where you can find out information about the harp competition in Germany, which is open to international everybody if you get the participation of the association, if I'm correct. So just apply to be the part of the association in Germany, and you will be able to participate at the competition, which is 6 categories. And there you can find all the information. So I hope that I have not forget anything. I hope that I have not forget any of the comments. Is there any wish you have, Isabel?
To see many of you live and not on Zoom. Although I enjoy Zoom too, and especially in Cardiff next year. I'm looking so much forward meeting so many of you there and share the whole harp community and yes.
And we are looking forward to see you as well. And when you mentioned that you like Zoom, do you like to teach online during these days?
We talked about that earlier. To be honest, I enjoy that. Teaching in Hamburg, not leaving my house and not having to travel 2 hours back and forth. And just on Thursday morning, I open my laptop and I'm connected to the students who at this point are not in Hamburg either. So we do our harp pedagogy class, and there are some things which even work better, I think. Teaching the harp lessons with the smaller ones works incredibly good. I have been teaching via Skype for quite a while. I heard a lecture in Sydney on the World Harp Congress on teaching via Skype or FaceTime or Zoom or what, name it. And I'm very grateful to that person, because I have to look her up. In Australia, of course, they needed that earlier than we did, because if you're in the middle of the desert and want to learn harp, That's how you learn it. And so I immediately changed my schedule, and I did it all online. And the smaller ones were happy to have, because the schools were all closed, so they were happy to have some stable thing in the week, the harp lesson. And they have to do many things on their own. Like they have to write down their own homework, which usually I do, and then I'm extremely angry if they haven't even opened the book. And so they have to do that on their own, and they have to do their own fingering markings, and they're growing. Even the small ones, and even if the sound quality, of course, is far from what we have in normal lessons. Rhythm can be corrected, notes can be corrected, and
this is really big help, this technology.
Yes, it is.
We really all face the reality that during these days we would be dying if this would not exist. So thanks God. And I only, of course, as you said, I also hope that we will have the chance, not only, which is helpful, and I honestly like it also, that we have this opportunity to teach online during these days, but that we will have also chance to meet each other in reality. And Isabel,
Jana, I wouldn't have seen you if we weren't on this.
Indeed, that's very true. And I'm so happy that we have this chance, that we can talk and that we can really share all these things, and that you are able to share all these experiences. May I just only point one thing, because I have not pointed, you are married now, right?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Not on my own, but as bonus children, 2 girls, and I'm very proud of them. The older one just got accepted for theatrical conductor. Director studies in Amsterdam. So that's the news of this week. And the younger one finished school and is still deciding what she's going to study.
That's wonderful. And did any one of them be inspired by the harp? Did ever?
The younger one did learn harp, so she started the harp with 7, or 6, even, or 5. I think with 5, but not with me. I met my husband when the children were 4 and 8. So she started playing the harp, and she was very good at it. But it's not that she's going to make a professional out of it.
But at least that she can really make hobby, and it's nice to have another person who can play the harp as well. So
yes.
For hobby, you can play together 2 harps. That's lovely. And your husband is probably not a musician, or is he?
No, he's a journalist. He writes for the newspaper.
How wonderful, Isabel. Everything what you have been sharing with us, I'm so appreciating this, and really thank you so much for all your wonderful, wonderful stories, great pictures, and for being here with us and being as you are. I really thank you very much, Isabel, and I hope to see you, as I said, really soon. Latest next.
Thank you for inviting me and for having me here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody to be with us. And I wish everyone wonderful evening. And I'm looking forward to see you on Saturday with Florian Zitruk. And today I am so thankful and really pleased and honored that we had Isabel Moreton with us today at the Harp channel, Meet the Harp Stars. Thank you very much, Isabel. Have a great evening, and I'll see you hopefully soon. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Take care, everybody.